Hey everybody, it's Rebecca Johnson of Supergirl Radio. I'm getting the live stream started for our discussion about the Hallmark Channel series premiere of The Way Home starring Chyler Leigh. So we are going to be talking about it with this Supergirl Radio live stream. If you have any comments or questions about the show, or if you wanted to share your thoughts, you can do so in the live chat of the live stream. So you'll be able to put your comments and questions there, and we will see them. And we'll get to those as many as possible. So if you do have any questions or comments during the live stream, either about Supergirl or our news section, we have a few bits of news items, and we also have some feedback and some snap judgments. So you're welcome to play along with snap judgments and provide your commentary about anything we happen to say. Feel free to contribute to the live stream, and we'll get to as many comments as we can. So sorry about the time change, the schedule change from Tuesday to Wednesday this week, but sometimes things happen and you have to reschedule and be flexible. So hopefully that did not inconvenience anyone. And the bonus, you'll get 2 Supergirl Radio episodes in your podcast feed this week if you listen to the audio version. So that is a kind of a cool little extra Supergirl Radio something that you're going to get, because we did take a month off. And so this is our re-entry into the podcast space after a vacation, and just getting some rest and relaxation. Every now and then you have to do it, no matter what it is. If it's your job or something fun that you do, it's good to have a little time to take a break and just refresh yourself. So if anybody does have any comments or questions before we get started officially about The Way Home, I'll take those while I'm waiting. Morgan should be joining us soon. So if anybody does have any questions or comments, I could say that we are going to be getting back into Supergirl Radio Rewind. And we have talked, Morgan and I have talked about just carrying it all the way through the end of season 1, even though we've talked about some of those ending episodes of season 1 already with Morgan. It kind of doesn't make sense to just end them before the last couple episodes of the season. So we'll be rewinding to Supergirl season 1 all the way through season 1. And then from there, not sure after that. we'll revisit that and see what we want to do after Supergirl Radio Rewind, and what we want to do after we watch a bunch of season 1 episodes. We'll figure out what we want to do. There's some comic books that we haven't read and discussed on the podcast. There's a lot of stuff that we could do leading up to the Flash movie whenever that wants to ever come out. So we'll be doing a lot of Supergirl things. So we'll be doing some of that. Maybe we might have to watch a little Stargirl season 3 to see Mr. Bones. Maybe we'll do a Mr. Bones recap to see what they did with Stargirl over there. So it does look like Morgan is there. Morgan, let me know if you're ready to go. Give me a thumbs up. Okay, cool. Hey, Morgan, how you doing?
Hello. I'm hanging in there. I couldn't remember where I used to put my laptop so that the light above me wasn't directly into the camera, and I was like, man, I've gotten rusty.
Oh yeah, I got back after a month off, and my green screen lighting is all weird. I'm like, what happened? I never changed it. Why is it so different? So I'm having to figure out my lighting situation. So I'm still a little green screeny, but I'll figure it out.
It's good to know it's not just me. I was like, what? I mean, I do this all the time. How did I forget? It's only been 2 weeks.
Well, to be fair, we took a good solid month off. So
okay.
it was a pretty significant break that we took. So I don't feel so bad about that, but it's just weird. It's like, did little gremlins move my lights? I don't know what happened.
I know. I was like, clearly my overhead light has not changed positions. And I was like, just shining right into the camera. How did I do this before?
So we'll have to get back into the swing of things to make sure we remember what to do.
Bear with us. Technical difficulties.
All right. So, Morgan, do you have the doc? I want to make sure that I did send that over.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started. I do remember how to do that. So we'll officially get the live stream started, and then we will get into the episode.
Leslie Lar's downfall is just that eyebrow twitch that she can't help doing. Could you imagine if Hope was like, let's add that to the PowerPoint? Excuse
what
me?
year is it?
How old am I? This is how the podcast breaks up.
This is the last episode of Supergirl Radio. You want a Kryptonian? You got one.
Is it a movie about saving Argo? The answer to that one is no. It's called Witch for a Summer! ! Where does she want to go? Ask her. Talk to her. Really commune with flat Supergirl.
Did we set the bar too high or too low?
I think we set the bar real medium.
You're doing an intensely adequate podcast.
Good.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Noyce, and you're listening to Supergirl Radio.
McGurk! I love typing.
Not mess with my Google Docs, Meeksy.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Kira.
I love that.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom, because of her outfit.
She looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. So fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
I'm Morgan Glennon.
And for this episode of the podcast, we are live and wired on the Supergirl Radio Facebook page and the DCTV Podcast YouTube channel to discuss and review the first episode of Chyler Leigh's new Hallmark Channel TV series titled The Way Home. This is the pilot, so we are doing what's called, or what the Legendary Ladies, I think we're stealing it from the Legends of Tomorrow podcast.
I'll allow it.
Yes, we're doing what's called a pilot pod. We did one for Superman and Lois previously, so we're going to be talking about the pilot of this show and what we think about it as a way to propel the series into future episodes, future series, future seasons, I should say, and see if it, is it something that we would want to keep watching. So we're going to be asking those questions about the pilot and just see if we felt like it set up the good premise for the rest of the show. So we will be talking about the pilot and the characters and Chyler Leigh's performance in it. So this is exciting that some of the actors and actresses from Supergirl are getting into new projects now. And so we're going to try to at least follow and support them as they continue to do that, which I guess is a good segue into our news, because we need to get to
the news.
According to Variety.com, Nicole Maines from Supergirl, Francois Arnaud from The Borgias, and Nia Sondia from Truth Be Told have been added to Showtime's Yellow Jackets Season 2 in recurring roles. Maines will portray Lisa, an associate of adult Lottie, Simone Cassell, who is trying to recover from past trauma.
I have never watched Yellow Jackets. Apparently it's in season 2, so I have no idea what this show is about.
Rebecca, Yellow Jackets is amazing. Actually, when I saw this news, I was so excited for Nicole because Yellow Jackets is a good show, like a good show. I had heard like all this buzz about it, like, oh my God, you gotta watch Yellow Jackets. Buzz. So I was like, all right, calm down, internet. Morgan's gonna watch Yellow Jackets. So I started watching Yellow Jackets, and it actually made me anxious. So I couldn't watch more than one at a time. I don't know, it stressed me out. But the basic premise of Yellow Jackets is very like Lost-esque. It has very Lost DNA. So it's like these girls are going to a soccer match, and their plane crashes in like an abandoned like a forest, and they're in the wilderness, and it's winter.
So it's basically Lost.
It is Lost. It's teen girl Lost. And they
you sold me on that just by that description.
I know. I knew I was going to. And it doesn't give too much away, but like you learn sort of throughout the first episode that like some people are in present day. The other people who aren't in present day, did they make it?
So like Lost season 5.
So like Lost season 5, you're jumping right in there. You're jumping right into the action. Yeah, it reminds. So I don't know if you watched. There was another show that had like kind of a similar premise, only they were on the beach, so they got the better end of it.
Yeah,
but it was like another teen girl
like
Lost. Yeah,
the beach.
And it was called The Wilds. That was on Amazon. So this is kind of like that, but it's like way weirder. Like the longer Yellow Jackets goes on, like the weirder and like more spooky. There's sort of a spooky, not quite supernatural yet, but there is definitely like a spooky undertone to it. So it's a little creepy. It's a little scary in places. Like Lost.
So could there be a smoke monster? Do you foresee?
I cannot wait until we get to the smoke monster era of Yellow Jackets. Yeah, no, honestly, it wouldn't be. I'm giving Yellow Jackets the biggest compliment I possibly could. It wouldn't be out of place to have a smoke monster on Yellow Jackets. It's like the vibe that's kind of happening on that show. I think you'd really enjoy it. Yeah. My advice is like take one episode at a time. They can get a little heavy, and they can get like a little bit, because obviously they're like trying to survive in the woods. So it's not binging that show was like kind of difficult. I was like, ooh. Okay, we did the one. I made it. I made it through the one. I was in this survival situation.
Well, comparing it to Lost is a compliment because I think we've discussed previously on Supergirl Radio that when shows would try to be Lost, they would fail miserably.
Yes.
So I'm not naming names, but there was. Okay, maybe I will. The Event on NBC. It was a total disaster. Yes. But so if there is a show that kind of has the Lost vibe and is done well, that's a really impressive thing.
Yeah,
it's hard to do.
Good cast too. It's got like Christina Ricci and Juliette Lewis and the girl whose name I never remember, but her first name is Melanie. Really good cast. And like the younger actors who are like playing some of the younger versions of the characters are also like really strong. So I would highly recommend it. So when I saw that Nicole was going to be on season 2, I was like, first off, I'm watching season 2 anyway. But second, like, I was like, oh, that's a great show for her. I feel like Nicole's like really taken off right now. She's really got like a lot of irons in the fire.
Right. Yeah. Well, I might have to check it out. I don't know much about it, but the last time you recommended a show to me, it was a good one. I think Morgan said you should watch Severance. It's like Lost.
Yes. This is how I get Rebecca to watch anything. I'm just like, it's like Lost.
It sells me every time. I'm a real sucker for it.
That always gets me too. I'm like, ooh, in what way?
Well, in additional Nicole Maines news, according to TV Insider, Supergirl's Nicole Maines is set to reprise her role as Nia Nall, aka Dreamer, during The Flash's upcoming 9th and final season. Eric Wallace, the showrunner of The Flash, said, as Supergirl fans ourselves, all of us here on The Flash are super excited to have Nicole join Team Flash for a one-off adventure as we put together our final season. Also saying that Nicole is a fantastically talented actress, and I'm so happy she's agreed to be part of a very special season 9 episode. where I get to cross off one of my Arrowverse bucket list team-ups, having two fantastic reporters, Iris West Allen, played by Candice Patton, and Nia Null, investigate their own very bizarre and frightening mystery, unquote. I think it's really...
Does it make me a bad person that I went two investigative reporters? Well, there's Iris, and who's the other one?
Well, it also said two fantastic reporters, and I was like, that's generous.
That is generous. I don't know that Nia did any reporting in like at least the last season of the show. I don't think that Nia even showed up to work. So this would be like a fun surprise where she like goes out with the Iris, and Iris is like, we've got to investigate the case, and Nia's like, yeah, I'm on it. It's like, it looks like you're napping. She's like, no, that's how I investigate. I have to dream it, and then I be it.
Did Nia ever actually cover a news story? Maybe that Reality Bites episode. Maybe
I don't think she wrote anything for that though.
Was that Cara who wrote it?
I think Cara wrote the article.
I don't remember Nia actually ever doing any reporting.
Well, you have to remember that Cara was her mentor, and so she really did learn the Cara Danvers School of Reporting. It's like, barely show up to your job.
Well,
sometimes write an article.
Okay, so
get
to
a
be
Pulitzer.
Fair, well, that's true. But sometimes Cara would take a notepad and a pen, and she would wear like a little, press credential, and she'd go sit somewhere and maybe raise her hand and ask a question. Once or twice.
She'd be like in the audience. She'd be like, "Excuse me, I have a question. Doesn't it seem like Supergirl's getting a little not getting enough credit for this?" That's all I had.
No further questions.
No further questions. Thank you. That made me laugh so much, just reminding me of like the final seasons of the show where like nobody really ever showed up to work or did any work. I wonder if it's going to be like a culture shock for Nia when Iris is like, okay, well, like I got to go to the office, and he's like, what is
that? Wait, you go in somewhere to do a job? I'm not.
What am I supposed to do with this desk? I don't understand.
Hard.
No
Nia
pillows.
Nia probably thinks you go under the desk.
Yes, that's what she's used to. Because she was also mentored by James. You'll remember.
Yes.
Iris is just gonna see her start like going under the desk and be like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, this is where I get my best naps. I mean, reporting done."
You don't do this here,
don't you? I thought that everybody told me this was just how it went. Have I been lied to?
Yeah, I'm excited about this, but I also kind of wish, like in the final season of The Flash, like maybe this could have been an Iris Cara story. Like I understand that Melissa Benoist wants to, move on, which is totally understandable. But like, this could have been an Iris Cara thing, and I think that would have been really cool. And since we didn't get the Flash on Supergirl's final season, it would have been nice to have Cara go and hang out with Barry and his people. So as much as I'm excited about Nia, I also think there were a lot of reporters on on Supergirl. So there is part of me that wishes that could be Melissa Benoist, but I understand why it's not. So
yeah, I wish we could see Cara in like the last season of The Flash, just because it does seem like the last season of The Flash is basically going to be like the last dying gasp of the Arrowverse in some ways. So I don't think that there's going to be like any other place that could possibly like support a Melissa Benoist, like a Cara pop in.
Because it can't be Superman and Lois.
It certainly can't be. They're in their own dimension. Goodness, away from all of that. And it just feels like no other show is kind of connected to Supergirl, and so this is sort of the swan song for that version of the Arrowverse. I've heard rumors that like there might be other characters popping up in this last season.
Some characters who I was under the impression had died, like in a significant crossover.
Yeah, it did.
That recreated the universe, like the Earth.
Yeah.
I was under the impression that character had a very meaningful, gigantic death.
But you know what? He's back, baby. He's better than ever.
He became another character, and then he died and rebuilt the universe.
Yeah, I'm confused about how that's gonna work. Really wish we could have gotten like Supergirl instead, but you live and you learn. I would also assume that Melissa was probably like, I'm good. I'm good. Honestly, it hasn't been that long. But it is nice that they can get Nicole on the show. So I'd appreciate a Dreamer cameo because she's a fun character and I think she'll be fun on the show. But also it'll be like a nice little way to get some updates on the character. She'll be like, "Oh, you mean Alex, my good friend? Well, here's what she's doing." I'm sure the dialogue's gonna get real clunky there, where they try to like exposition away people's.
Maybe she talks about Alex and Kelly and pitches the News Gal Legion to Iris.
Oh,
maybe we could get like a cross city.
Let's
Legion. Yeah,
let's start getting that spin-off going, just in case this one doesn't work out. Chyler, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I'm just a little bitter about that one dead character coming back because they seem to resurrect everyone except for Laurel Lance, and I'm still really bitter about it.
I think it'll be funny if it turns out that this is all like a dream sequence, and he like comes to Barry in his dream, and he's like, "Stay cool, pony boy," and then like disappears.
That would be pretty funny. So I guess we'll have to tune in and see.
They've got us.
This is so we'll probably do an episode on Nia's appearance on The Flash to see what if Nia does actual reporting. We'll have to. I'm a little skeptical, but it says that she's maybe gonna do it, so we'll have to report back.
I'm just gonna go ahead and put this out there in the universe that I hope it's a better showing for Nia than it was for Alex when she showed up on The Flash.
That was
Remember
rough.
that? Remember that?
I do. Yes, actually.
She just came on to give people love advice, and then she was like, "Okay, well, my work here is done." I'm like, "What work?" Alex.
Yeah, hopefully that guest appearance will be handled a little better this time around. Just hopping in the chat, Donna asks, did you see the news about Megan Rath in a new show late this afternoon? I sure didn't, but if you want to send us a link, we'll cover it in the next episode of Supergirl Radio. So just let us know. And Donna also mentions Nia covered the press conference of Ben Lockwood's son at the end of that storyline. I'll have to go back and rewatch that because I had repressed that memory. Let's see.
I can jump in here with the deets on the Megan Rath situation.
If you want to pull it up, and I'm just
gonna read the story of the title of the story, which is from Deadline, which is that Megan Rath is set to recur in season 2 of How I Met Your Father, which is, I believe, the Hulu spinoff of How I Met Your Mother. So
I wouldn't have guessed.
I know that there's a little bit of a tip off there. If you've been watching that, I guess she's gonna pop up on there. So that's fun for her. She will bring life to the character of Parker, a co-worker of Jesse, who is played by Christopher Lowell. No further details, but I guess if you know who Jesse is, then
I'm not familiar.
Then she's gonna be working with him. Gotta be great. I
don't know anything about the How I Met Your Mother cinematic universe.
I was pretty burned by the end of How I Met Your Mother, and then when they said we're doing How I Met Your Father, I was like, not again, not again.
So you would not compare How I Met Your Mother to Lost? Is it? It did have a controversial final episode.
It did have a controversial final episode, but I would say that I liked the Lost finale, and I would say that I disliked the How I Met Your Mother finale in that it was sloppy and bad. It's funny, and I won't go off this tangent for very long, but it is funny that it had kind of the exact opposite problem of Lost, where people like complained about Lost. They're like, oh, they're making it up as they go along. It's like, yeah, that's like a lot of TV storytelling you're just described, but the problem with How I Met Your Mother is that they had locked in an ending in like season 2, and the show had sort of outgrown the ending, but they still had it recorded, so they just slapped it on the final season, and it felt that way. And you're like, wait, what? So it was sort of the opposite of Lost, if you will. But I didn't like that finale. So I haven't watched How I Met Your Father. I'm sure it's great. But Megan Rath will be in season 2 if you are watching that.
Well, cool. So we'll try to follow the Supergirl actors as they go to different places. It's a lot to keep up with, but we'll try our best. So send us links in the future if we miss anything. So that is good. All right. Well, I guess we could talk about the latest actor doing something new outside of Supergirl, which is Chyler Leigh in the Hallmark original series titled The Way Home, which just had its premiere on January 15th, 2023, which I'm trying to reemphasize saying a lot so that I'll say 2023 and not 2022. So here is the IMDb description of The Way Home's first episode, which is not titled pilot like most TV shows do. It does actually have a title called Mothers and Daughters. And it says, quote, Kat and teen daughter Alice move in with estranged grandma Dell. Escaping the tension, Alice explores the farm. Is that what she did? And finds herself on a surprising journey, unquote. So, Morgan, I guess the first way to get into our pilot pod here is to think about the premise of this show and how the first episode really sets up the rest of the series. That's kind of the function of the pilot episode, is to give you an idea of the world and the characters. So how did you think the Way Home did?
So it's funny. I remember the first time we read this episode description, or not episode, like the series description of the series, and we were like halfway through, and it was like, and then there's time travel, and you're like, wait.
That's when it sold me. I was like, well, okay. Oh, time travel.
Like,
okay.
I was like, intergenerational trauma, blah, blah. And I was like, time travel. But I would say that the experience of watching the pilot was a lot like the experience of reading that episode of that series description, because for a long time, it's just sort of a show about like mothers and daughters and complicated relationships and family dynamics and secrets no one will talk about. And I was like, honestly, I'm into it. I'm feeling it. Annie McDowell's there. She's got great hair. She's got great hair in the past. She's got great hair in the future.
All of the Andys looking great.
Loving all versions of Andy McDowell. But then, like towards the end, like I want to say this is like maybe it was halfway, but it was maybe deeper than halfway. Like the daughter just goes, oh no, I'm sad about that thing I threw in the lake. Let me just go fish it out. And then like the sea creatures come to like suck her into a witch portal into the past. And I was like, okay, sweet. But it did feel a little bit like the beginning of the show. Like if you weren't paying attention to like the first minute of the show, maybe you went and got a snack. You're like, don't pause it for me. No, it's fine. It's fine. I know this show's about mothers and daughters. And then you come back and you're like, did I miss anything? I was like, like a whole witch jumped into a creek. And you're like, cool. I don't know how that's gonna come back later. And then suddenly she's like a sea creature pulls her into a lagoon. You're just like, what?
And she shows up in 1999.
And then suddenly she's in 99. You're like, oh, okay. This is a different show than I was led to believe. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I enjoyed watching the whole episode, I have to say. So I'm not like, it's not a pointed critique or anything. I do just think it was really funny. Like it is almost like they set up to pull the rug out from under you. It's like, this is just a normal lady and she's got a rebellious teen and her mom is prickly. And then and then before you know it, like her daughter's just getting sucked down by Swamp Thing, and you're like, what? What's happening? When the little tendrils of like seaweed and moss start like wrapping around her, I was like, uh-oh.
They did pull her down.
Yeah, they pulled her straight into 99. They were like, Y2K.
So I like the idea of time travel, and I think it's very Back to the Future-esque, going back in the past, seeing your parents as teenagers. It's been done before, but this is taking a spin on it. The thing that I have trouble with is water time travel. I don't know. I think there is like precedent for some of this. Like, you have the lady, but the lady by the lake, or the lady in the lake, the lady of the lake, I think is who she is.
Is that like the Arthurian legend?
Yeah, Arthurian legend. So you do have some of those mythical creatures who are in the lake doing that kind of thing. And there's a lot of stories that do time travel through water. Enchanted. When Giselle travels to the real world, she does so because she's been pushed into a well. They also do that with Disenchanted, where Nancy and Edward is his name. They come to the real world through another well. So there are stories where traveling to other dimensions happens through water. But I was the more I thought about the water time travel, I was like, that seems uncomfortable and a lot of work, because you come out the time traveling and you're all wet. You're just a mess. Your clothes are ruined.
You're in the middle of a forest.
It could be. What if it was cold and you came out and it was like 30 degrees? Like it's not ideal. Like at least with Back to the Future, you're in a car. You might be going fast and there's flames coming out of the back of the car, but at least you're in a contained, space. So I don't know what I think about water as a time travel mechanism.
Yeah, it seems like a kind of like a bad time travel mechanism. I'm wondering if she's going to start like taking a dip to go back to 99, or if she's just going to be stuck in 99 for a while. But if she does, I think she should like store a coat on both sides of the, like just like a puffy coat under a rock.
Extra change of clothes nearby.
Exactly. I will say, I was watching the episode, and when they first meet, like the teacher first pops up and he's talking to Elliot, yeah, and he's talking to Kate, which is Chyler Leigh's character, and he's kind of got a crush on her, and you can tell. And then all of a sudden, like her daughter comes and he goes, ooh, and I was like, either that's going to play into it later, or this guy is a strange actor, like making weird choices.
So I have a question for you, because we're really just diving into the time travel thing.
We're
just straight.
We got to get to the time travel.
I mean, we're going to talk about the characters and getting to know the characters and all of that. And I want to talk about Canada. That's definitely
Canada.
That's what I want to talk about too. But the time travel did actually kind of happen the way I thought it might, or that I thought it should have, which I was pleased with when Alice, or Allie, I think they call her in the episode. She goes back to 99. She meets her family back in that time period, and she's actually hanging out with her teenage mother. And then Chyler Leigh, as the adult Kat in the present day, is looking through some pictures, and she sees a Polaroid picture of her daughter with her younger self, even though it's kind of blurred out and a little fuzzy. I was actually glad that the time travel affected the present day. So now I'm curious, Morgan, what you think about the fact that since Elliot has interacted with Alice in the past in 1999, help me think through this. So, okay. She goes back into the past in 1999. She tells Elliot, hey, I'm actually not from here. I'm a member of the Landry family. Like, she tells him everything, right? She kind of fesses up what she's there. So does then teenage Elliot in 1999, does he take that information all the way to the I would assume he would take that information all the way to the present day, so that when she shows up at the high school, even though he hasn't yet had that experience in the present, but he's already had it in the past. You know what I'm saying?
I think from what I was kind of following is that, like, the reason that he goes woo woo when he sees her like a Looney Tune cartoon is that he recognizes her. He realizes, this is that girl the weird girl that I met back in the 90s when I was a teenager. And I think that's also why he takes her aside in class and is like, hey, anything that you need at any time in any decade, wink, wink.
Anytime.
I was like, if this guy is being inappropriate with this girl, I swear to God. But no, it turns out he was like, you might want to go talk to me in 99. 9. But I think it was because he remembered helping her.
Right.
And when he sees her again, he's like, oh, I know I helped this girl at some point. And so even though it was in his past, it's in her future. I don't know how knowledgeable he is about time travel. I guess we'll kind of find out because he was standing by the lake.
Yes.
Maybe he had a coat with him. I don't remember.
He does
seems
seem
like
to
a
know
chill guy.
that,
So
he does seem to know that is the portal to the different time period.
yeah, so it seems like we'll see, how often she goes back and forth, but he definitely remembers having helped her out because he knows where the portal is, and he keeps telling, "Oh, she'll be fine." Uh, so I thought that was an interesting wrinkle that they added into it that kind of like pulls the time travel aspect of it in a little bit more. That there is a character who remembers her in 99 and then interacts with her in the present. Although it feels like that would create some sort of paradox if he's like, remember in 99 when you did and then like does she do it because she was going to, or does she do it because she was told? You always get into kind of like free will spirals in these time travel stories.
Okay, so if we're going with the premise that Elliot recognizes her from 1999, why doesn't her mother?
That's a great question. I mean, I guess it's like one of those things where like you have a kid and you're like, they're getting older and you don't think, hey, it's so weird that my daughter looks exactly like this girl I met by a pond in 99. You're probably just like, whatever, it's fine. But I feel like as this season goes on, right, the longer she spends in 99, like the more implausible it becomes that like her mom doesn't remember. I was like, oh man, you know what? You're growing up to look just like this girl I knew in high school. And weirdly enough, she was real starstruck just by meeting my dad. It's the weirdest thing. She kept calling him grandpa. And some things are starting to make sense to me.
Yeah. Donna says that there's an interview that Chyler gave before the premiere that this stuff is explained. So I guess explained in a later episode. So I guess they'll get to the time travel memories and how that informs their present day. It looks like Armgard says Alice is on the calendar in Kat's bedroom. So some things are starting to the more, of course, this is the time travel dilemma, that if you go back into the past, you can start messing with the future, which is nothing that Brainiac 5 ever considered on Supergirl. Supergirl had a lot of time travel. They didn't care about that kind of thing. But in The Way Home, that does seem to be affecting what is happening. So I'm curious to see how far they take that. I was also I had a lot of questions about Alice in the past. So Alice gets fished out of this lake by Kat Landry, who is now a teenager. And then she takes her back to the house to get a change of clothes because obviously water time travel is a very dirty and wet business.
A messy business.
So she goes back to the house, and then this family never seems to ask, like, hey, do you have parents in town? Do you want us to call your parents? Do you want us to contact your family? No? Oh, we'll just go straight to having dinner here, and we're never going to ask you questions about anything. I just thought it was strange that they never like wanted to. I guess the show didn't want them to ask those questions because she was with her family.
Yeah, to be fair, they're like, I think they at the dinner table they mention to her like, or she mentions like, oh yeah, I just moved into the area with my mom, and like mentions about a divorce because I remember the young Cat character was like, oh, I'm so sorry, that must be so hard, and Alice looks at her like, it's your divorce.
Yeah, it must be hard.
Sorry, Mom?
Yeah, of course it's hard. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I mean they do ask her those things, but like if I as a teenager had like stumbled upon some strange or some strange teenager had stumbled upon my family,
some swamp witch that you pulled out of a pond.
My mom and dad probably would have been like, who can we call to come and pick you up? You know, we're not going to bring you in as another child. We're not going to adopt you. We need to find a place for you.
I do feel like there was like sort of a lack of being like, hey, we found you dying in a lake. Let's just call it. Yeah, we'll feed you, but let's call your parents real quick and tell them you're alive. There was none of that because obviously that would have gotten complicated real quick. She was like,
just don't address it.
Don't address it. We don't want to address it.
Yeah,
we're letting it go. We're putting on our chokers and our baby doll dresses over t-shirts, and we're just moving on with our lives.
Yes. So I did have a lot of questions about that because I thought that they skimmed over that in such a way that was perplexing to me.
It's like, shouldn't you find this poor child's parents?
But I guess that was a way to get her acclimated to the family and getting to know her grandparents better, and her uncle, who tragically seems to have died as a child. It seems like maybe.
Yeah. So I think my big question about, and this is not for the pilot, but for like the rest of the series, is like, I feel like what is going to happen, this is my prediction, is that she's going to somehow avert the tragedy that resulted in either her uncle, like the little boy, dying, or the grandfather dying, or both. And that is going to create some sort of like paradox in the space-time continuum. And then I think it's going to get real weird. That's my guess, is that things are going to get wonky because she's going to try to save Grandpa. She's like, oh my God, when Grandpa and I did that acoustic session, like we really bonded. I can't just let him die. Meanwhile, everybody on like Legends and The Flash are like, you gotta let him die. Wait, I'm pitching this. Maybe this is how we find out whatever happened at the end of Legends of Tomorrow. We think that they're going to pop up on The Flash. They are not, sir. They are not. They're popping up on this Hallmark Channel original broadcast to take her into time jail.
Yeah, I think I think that speculation is definitely something that I agree with, because Alice mentions to the young, what is his name? The little brother, Kat's little brother. Jacob, maybe, what's his name?
I think so. I think it was Jacob.
Like Lost, the character named Jacob in this one. But she says, like, take care of yourself. So I think there is that. My question about the premise of the show, and because the pilot is supposed to set the series up for future episodes and kind of set the tone for the rest of the series. The way that it's set up currently, it feels like an 8-episode, 1-season TV series to me.
It does. It feels like it's going to be like a shorter, limited season thing. I could definitely see it going to like a season 2 if they don't wrap up everything in season 1. So I like, if it was me, maybe, what I would do is have her like uncover the family secrets this season, and then decide at the end, like, I'm gonna fix everything. Jacob, Grandpa, you live. But then you find out right at the finale, like, that her doing that has like messed up everything.
It's the butterfly effect.
The butterfly effect. And then Q season 2, what's gonna happen? and I wouldn't have any answers for that. And I hope that they have thought that through if that's the way that they decide to go with it. But I feel like that it could be like a 2-season show. I think after 2 seasons, though, I agree. I feel like it might struggle to be like, how many more things can she mess up in the past?
Yeah, because I can't imagine that they would. Also, the water time travel also makes it a little because you're going to continue to have this young woman diving into the water and getting pulled down by the seaweed and all of that stuff. So I just don't see that becoming a thing that happens for 4 or 5 seasons. It just doesn't seem like something that I think would sustain itself for very long. Donna in the chat says they have 10 episodes. In another interview, Chyler makes mention of a season 2. So I could maybe see a season 2, but this does not feel as though it's set up to be a long running. I don't think
I will say
you can stretch it out for very
I think
long.
that there are some mystery elements of it that could be interesting that they could play with if they want to like elongate the show. So like, where did the witch come into it?
Okay, so that could. Okay, so all right, so we're pitching things here.
Okay, but like, is the witch related to them?
Oh, I think it definitely looked like Andy McDowell.
Yeah,
So I think the witch is in the family.
Yeah,
so they could turn into witches in season 3.
Exactly.
It's revealed there. It's just like what is that? Not Charmed, but the Nicole Kidman, Sandra Bullock.
Practical Magic. Yeah,
it could
they're
be Practical
in a small
Magic.
town.
Yeah.
They're in a small town. It's a generational, generations of women. And then like one of them is like, oh my God, I have maybe this unlocks Alice's witch powers because she's like dunking in and out of the witch fountain.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, maybe that's the twist at the end of season 2. You think she's figured out, she's fixed the timeline. Things are going great now. She's back. She's better than ever. Uh-oh. She's got powers.
Alice is the witch from 1814.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I love everything about this. What if we find out at the end of season 2, she's fixed everything. She's fixed the timeline. And then she chuckles to herself and she's like, fooled everyone. And then we find out that the real Alice is stuck in 99 still, and she is the witch from the pond who was just like sucking out she just needed Alice to go in and out of 99 enough times before she was like reborn.
So it becomes her villain origin story.
It's her villain origin story. Exactly. But maybe then like she learns to love or whatever. I don't know. Listen, this is why I'm not a writer. These are all free ideas for them.
But I definitely do think the witch at the beginning of the episode is in the Landry family. But I guess this is another question that I have of just the way that people communicated to each other. So
sorry, I just had to surface this comment from Aaron, who said they will join Lena Luthor's Witch for a Summer program.
That's it, at the camp.
The Luther Foundation.
Yeah, but Kat Landry in 1999 was going to the camp where she meets her future husband. So that could be a witch's summer camp.
I love it. She's going to finally tap into the witchy powers within. Lena's going to be like, I believed in you all along. Although I will say, like, the place that they shot did seem like the forest in the Lena Luthor's mom flashback.
Well, it was in Canada.
Yeah, when they all turned into the Charms witches and like they did like a little music video, like a little fair music video and stuff like that. I was like, oh, why am I feeling like nostalgic for these woods? Lena, where are you?
We're supposed to be in Irish Canada, so
that's true.
There is a connection there. So I guess the thing that I was confused about was, okay, so Kat and Alice drive all the way, I guess, from Minnesota across the United States into they cross the Canadian border into New Brunswick, and they've gone back home. But not once does Kat seem to tell Alice there's a legend of this white witch, and people think that she goes around killing people or whatever the little boy said, Jacob said. That seems like that would be something that you would tell your daughter when she's going to a new place.
I mean, would you though? Like the local urban legends?
I feel like maybe that's important information.
You want your daughter to like go with you. It's like if somebody was like moving to New Jersey, I would be like, oh my God, you're gonna find the best pizza here. You're gonna do this. This is like, here you go. I probably wouldn't be like, but dude, heads up for that Jersey Devil. That guy's real.
Is there really a Jersey Devil legend?
You didn't know about my God, Rebecca, remind me to tell you about the Jersey. He's like a horseman with like wings and like bat wings, and he like flies around the Pine Barrens. He's very mysterious. We all love our Jersey Devil here. He's a great fella.
Wait, isn't there a hockey team, the New Jersey Devils? Okay. So is that what that's about? Okay.
It is what it's about. And I went on a ghost tour one time where they were like, the legend is that the Jersey Devil like flew over the town that that I live in. And I was like, oh my God, the Jersey Devil is all around us. But that is our one New Jersey cryptid, if you will. But I probably wouldn't give people like a heads up.
Well, what if that put the daughter in danger, though?
Don't wander into the Pine Barrens lest you anger the Jersey Devil.
And if the witch is in the Landry family, wouldn't Andie MacDowell know about this and like give the daughter the heads up? Hey, that's a sinkhole, but really what really happened over there is a witch dove into that lake and we don't know what happened to her.
And she never came back, or did she? I gotta say, Andie MacDowell, love her. Hair is amazing. She's suspicious. I'm keeping my eyes on Andie.
She might be the witch from 1814.
She could be the witch, or maybe like she knows about the witch. Maybe she's like keeping the family spell book like behind a dresser or something. I don't think that she like flips that house that often. I like that Kat was so mad about her redecorating, and I was like, Kat, you gotta like please calm down. Like that place does not look like it was redecorated anytime soon.
Well, she also chided her mother for getting rid of her father and her brother's memories, and I guess correct me on this if I'm wrong, but it looked like there were pictures of them on the mantle in the house.
I think she
was that in the past? Was that like a past memory?
I think it was a past memory. So okay. I was a little unclear on this part too. Honestly, had to like rewind that section, so I don't think it was like clearly marked, but she looks at the mantle and then she remembers the photos that used to be on the mantle from like her childhood, and then she comes back and it's like different photos, none of which have the grandfather or the younger brother, and then she gets like real big mad. It's like, you know what, your mom has to live there, and like maybe it bums her out, so maybe go easy on her. I feel like there's probably reasons to be mad at Andie MacDowell's character. That one wasn't one of them. I thought Kate was like ridiculously like mean in that scene where she was like, well, you've scrubbed them from the house. It's like, hey, like people grieve differently. Maybe you should like take a step back and chill out.
True.
I think we were supposed to be on Kat's side, but I was like, I don't know. Like you are living there for free, so maybe.
Also, you haven't talked to your mother in 20 years. I think you need to chill out a little.
Maybe you chill out a little bit. I see a comment from CM Gutierrez that said there was a documentary about the Jersey Devil on an episode of The X-Files. So, see, we're famous. He's famous.
All right, that's good.
You got to give the Jersey Devil his flowers, man.
I just think people need to be forewarned about things because because when Alice didn't know, she fell into a lake and it time traveled her back to 1999 where she met her teenage mother.
That's true. Like if
she's stuck in 99.
If you came to visit and I was like, listen, the Pine Barrens are so beautiful, right? Like you got to check them out. And then you were like swept off to the past by the Jersey Devil. I don't know what you guys are doing in 99. I don't know what a Jersey Devil does in 99. I would feel pretty bad. I would feel pretty bad. I wasn't like, yo, before you go though, heads up, if you see like a half horse man with some bat wings, you're gonna want to maybe walk the other direction.
I would want to know about that. I would want to know. Inform
so the issue is that Kat didn't give like a full tourist guide sort of picture to her daughter. She was like, it's beautiful, small town, there is a witch.
And she kills people. I think that's what the little boy said.
She eats people.
I guess part of my skepticism with that is because I have recently been doing a lot of watching Amy Adams projects because she's never going to play Lois Lane again, and it makes me very sad. And so I've been going through her filmography of things that I haven't watched before. And so I recently watched Hillbilly Elegy and Sharp Objects. Well, Sharp Objects, both of these projects are stories about someone coming back to a town that they haven't been to in a long time that they used to live in. So there's that. And then one of them, Sharp Objects, is about a woman in white who leads children to their deaths. And so it's kind of all culminating in my mind with The Way Home. So I'm like, in Sharp Objects, I would have wanted to know in Sharp Objects.
Oh yeah, I think
there was a lot of stuff that went down.
You might have wanted to know about that. So I haven't watched that show, but I hear Amy Adams was incredible in it. But I have read the book, so I know which way that goes if they followed the book.
There are a couple of witches in there that might be part of a family of nasty people. So I don't want to spoil anybody on those things because they're very good. But it's just interesting. I recently watched those, and then the way home is a story about people going back to their hometown, and then there's like a woman in white.
I think the thing that you can take is like, just don't go back to your hometown. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Move on with your life.
Usually when recently divorced ladies go back to their hometown on like a Hallmark thing, they're gonna like meet like a hunky lumberjack around Christmas, and like I feel like poor Chyler Leigh, it didn't go her way in this instance. We have a comment from CM Gutierrez who reminds us that Andie MacDowell's character was not a local. She was from the Carolinas or Georgia, so the grandfather probably knew about the local witch. So
possibly, but it seemed like Andie MacDowell's character had been living there, so it seems like at some point she would know.
Again, I got my eyes on her. I don't trust her.
Yeah. I think red flags are up. Just because the woman in white, the witch in white at the beginning, did have long curly black hair. So that was very Andie MacDowell-ish. So I do think that there is something up with that. Definitely a member of the Landry family. We just don't know which one yet, I think. So Morgan, I guess we could talk about I guess we've been talking about the characters a little bit, but how well do you think that the show set up the characters? Do you feel like you got to know them and what their issues were? Do you feel like you're wanting to know more about them?
Yeah, I feel like the character stuff was actually pretty well set up in this pilot. I might have felt like a little bit like the time travel came out of left field. But the character stuff I felt like was pretty, like they spent a lot of time really establishing who these characters are and like their sort of interpersonal relationships and their issues with each other. I think were pretty clear, especially among the three women who were sort of the leads of the show, which is Chyler Leigh and then Andie MacDowell and then Chyler Leigh's daughter. I felt like I kind of knew those characters. I think Andie MacDowell's character was sort of like the one that was the most up in the air. Like she seemed kind of mysterious. Like what's her deal? She was, it'd be interesting to know more about what caused their estrangement. Was it something with the grandfather or the son, or was it something like some big argument? They do seem to have a really hard time getting along. They're both kind of mean to each other, honestly. Like at first I was like, oh yeah, Andie MacDowell's character is probably like a mean, like kind of a mean mom. But then like Kat really goes after her for like how she redecorated the house after 20 years. It's like, Kat, you need to calm.
You should be glad she redecorated the house. That could have not ended up well.
Do you remember the design choices of the 90s, Kat? You don't want that. And I think that the relationships with Alice and her mom seem pretty like well defined. They're really not getting along. She's kind of blaming her mom for the divorce, even though it does not seem like it's necessarily the mom's fault. If his new girlfriend is moving in with him already, it feels like that timeline seems fast. Also, when she was like, well, I guess we're not gonna work it out, it feels like that's a hard way to find that out. That his new girlfriend is moving in. Oh, I thought we were just separated. Cool. I didn't want to get back together. Anyway, that's chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the relationship between her and the ex-husband is also kind of interesting, and that like it doesn't seem like they hate each other, but it's definitely very strained. And the daughter seems like she has sort of a strained relationship with the mom, especially. It kind of doesn't feel supported. So I think that they set up these like relationships between these characters and like what they're going through pretty well in the pilot, especially since it's just like, it's like a 40-minute pilot. So not a ton of time to do that plus time travel. So kudos to them for getting that much like character, relationship building into, one little episode.
Yeah, I think I know everybody's relationship and connection to each other, so I think that I'm not confused about who is who and what they're about. So I think all of the characters are set up pretty well. I don't know, and maybe this is because it's only the first episode, if I buy Chyler Leigh or her character as a reporter though is the thing. And maybe they'll establish her as doing that, but she just kind of walked up to the school with the big eyeglasses that she didn't wear for the rest of the episode.
No, she did not. Those are her reporter glasses, and she got fired, so they took the glasses back.
So they just took those off.
It's like on those like police procedurals where they're like, we're gonna need your gun and your badge. Like as she was cleaning up her desk, they're like, I'm sorry, we're gonna need your smart person glasses. You just put them right here.
I did find humor in it that she was playing a reporter and that she wore glasses like Kara would have done on Supergirl, but I haven't quite bought her in that role as of yet. They've clearly established her as the mom, and I definitely buy her in that part of her character's role. So I'm going to need more reporter Cat as we go along into the series to really establish that. So that's the only thing that I kind of had trouble with. But I think all the characters are outlined pretty well, and I can see them all growing from this time travel experience and how this is going to affect them. So I do think that there are character journeys that, and character threads that can be pulled.
Yeah, and she did say that like her plan when she moves back with her mom is that she's going to write a book. And
I think she's going to write a book about witches or time travel or both.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a bestseller, and she's gonna be like, not based on a true story. I'll wink.
All fiction, definitely
fiction.
Not.
This is not real.
Reality based.
But I did like how mean Andy McDowell's character was. Like, I think you should get a real job. It's like, hey. I mean, sure, you probably should. But I also like that she called up that old editor, like some person she met. She's like, I met this guy at a party 3 years ago, or like however many years ago, and he said he would be totally interested in the book for me. It's like, oh, that's not what you hung this hope on, right? And like when she tries to call him up, she gets blown off, and you could just I felt so bad for her. I was like, ooh, that backup plan's not working out for you.
Yeah, I do kind of wish that the show, they probably won't do this, but have you ever seen the movie Funny Farm with Chevy Chase? That's a movie about a guy who goes to a farm to write a book.
Oh my God. Yeah. I haven't seen that movie in ages, but I remember it being very funny.
Yeah, so I kind of want her to have like a Funny Farm situation where lots of things go wrong while she tries to write a book on a farm. But I think they'll probably take her journey a little more seriously than that. But yeah, so I think all the characters are good to go. I just my biggest questions surrounding this episode were how were they going to sustain this plot and the time travel aspect of it. So I'm curious to see how they stretch it out over the season.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's a situation where like she goes back and forth, or if it's a situation where she's like in 99 for a while. I'm assuming that she goes back and forth just because of the fact that the teacher is like standing there with all of her stuff at the lake, like
he's waiting for her to come back.
Seemingly he knows she's going to come back soon, and he would probably have that like foreknowledge. So I wouldn't assume that she's going to spend like the next whole episode or anything in like 99. But yeah, but then like the question becomes like, why does she go back? I'm assuming she just decides to like try to find out the family secrets or try to change the past or something. But yeah,
could she take someone with her?
Ooh, like if
like would she take Chyler Leigh, like adult Cat? With her back into that would be a dangerous game though.
Now that would get chaotic.
That would be
like what happens if you meet yourself in like the past? Like does time just unravel?
I mean, you're really butterfly affecting that situation.
We need to get the legends in here. She needs to go to time jail. She is messing with things. Not that the legends cared about any of that stuff either. But yeah, no, I think that's a good question. Like, yeah, could other people go back and forth? Like if you're just like taking a swim in the lake, or is the lake monster going to pull you back to Y2K as well?
And also, can the people from 1999 come to the present?
Twist. I don't know. Because
I assume that the way the water time travel is really messing with me. I I assume that the way she comes back to the present is through that same lake. So the lake is at the Landry farm. So I guess the theory is that she goes back down to the lake. She hops back into the lake. She's then transported to the present. So why couldn't somebody from 1999 hop in that lake and have that same? And can you? And also, how did it know to take you back to 1999?
Yeah, why 99 specifically?
Like, is it like a thing in Back to the Future where you can set the dial for what date you want to go to? Are you at the whims of the lake to take you back to a certain time period?
There's like a dial like on the kelp that she has to set. Yeah, it does seem like a very random time period, just very conveniently when her mom was also a teenager and they can bond.
Maybe the lake, I'm thinking about this too much, but maybe the lake senses something about you and like takes you where you need to go the most.
Ooh, yeah, I think that could be the case. It's like, you know what? She really needs to know what it was like in 99 with her teenage mom, like, before everything bad happened in the family. I just sense that about her. Like I where would it take you if you jumped into the lake?
Oh, I don't know. I would go back to the 90s. I definitely would. Maybe early 2000s. Like at the height of like Britney Spears and NSYNC.
That was a fun time. Yeah, let's go to post Y2K.
That would probably I would like that time period again. That was pretty good. But yeah, I just was thinking about that because if I was writing this show, I would have them time travel back into the past with the witch. I would have them go back to the 1800s. But how do you get to the 1800s if you can't control what time period?
What if one time she jumps in, she's like, I'm gonna go see my mom in 99, and then we're gonna go see Scream. And then she pulls herself out of the lake, and it's like there's like an old witch lady like at the edge of the lake, like, what's up, dearie? And she realizes it's like 1799 or something like that. Wrong 99.
I just think if you have no way to control the time travel, you could get stuck somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And then also you have no control story-wise about where the character goes into what time. Like I feel
like that kind of that might open up the story, because like if it doesn't always go to 99, you could just then take her anywhere. So she could just like pop up and it's like, oh my God, am I in like the Victorian times? And everybody's like, oh my God, look at that harlot. Because she's got like her elbow showing or something. But yeah, I feel like you could, if it's at the whims of the pond, you could really take her you could have some interesting episodes where she doesn't go where she expects to go and she just ends up, somewhere crazy. But maybe with which ancestor.
But wouldn't that make you want to stop time traveling? Like that would make me want to be
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it for sure.
Because if I didn't know where it was going to come out, I'd be like, ugh, I'm not going to do that.
Oh yeah, no. See, I'm too like risk adverse to like jump into a pond hoping to do some time traveling, even if it was to, the height of Britney and Justin. I just don't know that it would be worth it for me. And especially if I like could pop out of the pond and it's like the Salem witch trials and they're like, does she know how to read? Drown her. It's like, no. I'm going back. No.
Well, I guess that is the irony of the witch situation is, does the witch float?
Really a no-win situation for you.
The witch may not float. She drowns and then she time travels. Is what's happening.
I hope that happened to all the witches, but we know it did not. That was sort of a best case witch scenario, huh? Like it's like, oh my God, it's so lucky that this time portal was in this pond.
So yeah, I guess my hesitancy as somebody who would be potentially, like if I was potentially time traveling through a pond, I would want to be able to control where I go.
Oh yeah.
And if I had no control over that, I wouldn't do it.
It's not a safe situation. It's just, I wouldn't listen. If you know that your neighborhood pond is also a time travel portal, I'm just saying, I don't know if I would recommend you take that bad boy for a spin.
Because how are you guaranteed that you're going to go back to 1999 every time?
You're just really not. Like, how does she know? I kind of hope that she one of these times she's like gets really used to going back to 99, and then one time she jumps in and she gets out and she's like, "Oh, this isn't 99."
Well, that feels like a season finale.
Yes, that's a season finale for sure. She's like,
been going to 99 this whole time, and then the last time she comes out on the final episode of season 1, she's like, "Uh-oh, I'm in 1814."
And there's like all these villagers with like pitchforks around
the
pond.
And I feel like that's got to happen.
You slowly back up into the pond.
And the pond's not, and the pond's like, sorry, I'm not time traveling right now. Like, you're just stuck here for a little while.
Pond's like, I'm sorry, I'm really tired. Like, I've got to, self-care is so important.
Yeah, so I have a lot of questions about the time traveling pond. I'm sure they will answer all of them.
I hope the pond comes to have like a fun personality. Like,
ooh, what if it did have like a personification?
Yeah, like the pond, the pond just decides things. Like, pond, you sent me to 1500s again. I'm so sick of it.
Well, like I'm thinking about Merlin, like the Lady of the Lake, like would do things. I wonder if like the pond could eventually have some sort of, I don't know what the word is for that, but like have a persona attached to it at some point. Maybe the witch comes out and becomes like a time traveling mentor.
What if in the season finale, Alice pops out of the lake and she's like, "Guys, it's wild, but I have this sword." Just comes out with a sword. She's like, "I think I'm the chosen one." and then it becomes like a whole different show.
That could be a way to continue to further the series.
Yeah,
and keep reinvigorating it.
This show can now be whatever you want it
whatever you want. So I don't know what the pond is going to become or how much control it has over everything, but it does seem to have Alice's fate in its hands for now, and its metaphorical pond hands.
I see there's a comment in the chat where Donna says there's a promo where Elliot tells Alice that the pond decides where and when you go.
I would not time travel with the pond in that way.
I think if he was like, "Listen, it's wild, but the pond is going to take you where you need to go," I'd be like, "Listen, sir, I don't know this pond, and I don't understand its priorities, and I'm out." I don't know that I would trust the pond.
I wouldn't either.
No. I want to know. I want to like have like when you're in like an Uber and you have the map of where you're going to. Can the pond give me that? Can I drop pin for my location to my friend? Pond.
So I'm gonna ride this premise out so far.
I thought you were gonna ride. You're like, I'm gonna ride the pond. I'm going.
So help me think through this.
Sure.
Alice, let's say Alice comes back from 99. She's like, MTV is still going. It's great. TRL is still on. It's been really
Hanson,
fun,
baby.
She goes back from 1999. And then she meets up with Elliot, who is the teacher now at the high school.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the conversation with Elliot is going to be like, all right. So Alice is going to tell him, like, this is what happened to me. I met my mom as a teenager. I met my uncle, my grandfather, who are not in the picture anymore. I've done all these things. And Elliot's response, I think, should be, don't do that anymore. You're going to mess with time and your family history, butterfly effect, yada yada. Don't do that anymore.
All of space and time could unravel and we could all just be floating in the ether. Don't unravel time. I watched that Spider-Man movie. Don't do it.
So that's what he should tell her. Yeah. That's probably, I'm assuming, not what happens.
Okay. My question is also, if in the promo Elliot is like, "Listen, the pond is going to decide where and when you need to know." Elliot, sir, how do you know? Has Elliot been jumping in the pond like, where do I need to go? And then like just like shooting out in like, 1955 5 or something? Like what?
So
how does he know?
This is a good question. So is it not just for the witchy Landry family, or is it for anybody?
So that's also a big burning question. It's just like, if you were like, oh, sweet, it's really hot today, I'm just going to go for a little swim. Would you then find yourself in like 99 be like, oh, this was the time travel pond?
See, this is why you need to know the local legends. You need to be an informed citizen of this small town in Canada.
You pop up, you're like,
decisions.
oh, this feels like 99. And like the Jersey Devil sitting on the shore and he's like, I told you. Yeah, I just have questions about how Elliot would know the mechanics of the pond. Like, sir, have you used the pond?
So I assume he's worked that out. So in
from the past, probably.
Yes, in
right?
the past.
Okay.
So he's worked with Alice, I guess, in the past to work out the time travel mechanics. But we're just now seeing the effects of that in the present day. But yeah, I'm interested in if it's only just for the Landry family.
She ever like skips ahead a little bit and like in the family history, and then she pops up and they're like, what, did you come for dinner? Why do you look exactly the same? It's been 10 years. Like,
can she go to the future?
Well, I mean, everything is the past for her, right? So like 10 years post 99 would still be the past for her.
See, this is why I'm interested if teenage Kat can go into the future and meet or like know what happens to her.
Ooh, I don't know. There's a lot of this show is asking a lot of questions. I feel like we're like deep in the weeds, and this is what happens for me with time travel. I remember like early in Legends when they cared about like the rules of time travel,
right?
And then they gave up, and then it was better for my brain. But like it was like, okay, but if they change this thing, like won't that mess with this thing? Or did they only do that thing because of this thing in the past? And like, does that just like create an infinite loop that gets really confusing if you think about it too much?
Yeah.
Time travel is a tough one. I feel like it's really hard to like make your time travel logic very consistent. So I don't expect this show to have like the best like ironclad time travel logic, but I feel like it does open up like a lot of questions. Like I want to know more about this pond. I want to know more about their witchy family. If indeed their family is witchy.
No, their family, I think we've firmly established
it's witchy,
they are a family of witches.
Oh, definitely.
So
maybe it only works for her because she's got that witchiness inside of her.
She's magical. She's mystical in her DNA. Yeah. So that's a big question I have. Can only the Landry family use the time traveling lake, or could Elliot time travel as well?
Ooh.
So I have a lot of questions.
I think we're gonna have to keep on with this thing to find out.
I think so. It's like Lost.
I'm intrigued.
So I have to keep watching.
It is so much like Lost. That's how I'm gonna get everybody to start watching. Like, it's on the Hallmark Channel. Stop walking away from me. It's just like Lost. There's a pond. I'm gonna be able to really pitch this very well to people.
Okay, I have one more question. And we should probably wrap it up soon because I think we could talk about time
let's
travel
just keep talking
about
the pond.
But do you think there should be more consequences to time travel? Maybe the butterfly effect will be the only consequence that you need, but if you just have it so that she time travels all the time and nothing happens to her, that to me seems a little like there should be some sort of like she like maybe grows gray hairs, or something happens to her, like she loses memories, or like in Back to the Future where you start to fade away because you've in the picture because you've messed something up in the past. Like, should there be like an additional consequence to her actions when she's messing the time?
Part of me wonders, I feel like there's there's a bunch of different ways that this show can go, which is kind of fun. As like after watching the pilot, you usually have like a pretty good idea of like what the season's going to be about, unless you're talking about Severance, and then that thing is crazy,
which is also like Lost.
Watch Severance. But I feel like there's also a version of this show where she goes back in time and she's like, I can save my family. but something that she does actually leads to the exact circumstances of her family being broken. So like she does something that leads to her grandfather dying by accident, or like her uncle like going missing or whatever. I don't know if he died or he went missing or whatever.
They talked about him like he had died. But I guess he could be missing, but it really sounded like he had died.
It sounded pretty permanent to me. Yeah. So like maybe by accident she does something to create this bad current situation while she's trying to fix it, and like kind of a time travel, the future is inevitable kind of situation. I don't know. Will Hallmark get that dark? I don't know.
So what we're actually talking about here is very scientific time travel theories.
Oh, yes.
You have paradoxical time travel, and then you have non-paradoxical time travel. So paradoxical, I learned this by watching Lost.
Nice.
So I'm just trying to see how many times I can say Lost in this podcast episode. But paradoxical time travel means that you can alter history. You can change the future. You can affect time and change the future. But non-paradoxical time travel means no matter what you do, the future is always going to be what the future is going to be, and you can't do anything to change it. So maybe there is an instance. I guess it depends on they are not thinking about this in the writer's room at all. But they could, depending on which version of time travel that they pick, would set up the rules for how they choose to go about the story. So if they decide this is non-paradoxical time travel, it could be that Alice goes back in time and there's nothing she can do to save her grandfather. And it could be just all the events play out as they do. Although it sounds like,
or like more heartbreakingly, like maybe something that she does to try to change the situation is actually what leads to him dying in the first place. So if she hadn't gone back in time, he would have lived, but because she did, he died. But she only did because he was dead in the present. You know what I mean? So it then becomes like this tangled web.
Or maybe he would have died anyway, but in this specific timeline, she is the one who causes it to happen. So there's a lot of ways you could go about the time travel theories within the show. So I don't know. I guess they could theoretically like mix it up. Like they could have some elements that are non-paradoxical and some that are paradoxical, but that hurts my brain.
I did see a comment in the chat, and I don't know where it is now, so sorry for whoever said it, that was it Alice who wrote the letter to her mom from her grandmother to get them there?
Okay,
but so past Alice.
Okay, so this is a good question. I think we should speculate on who we think it is.
Yes.
So Morgan, who do you think it is?
I think it. Who do I think it is? I think it was probably past Alex. I mean, past Alice. Like the not like the some version that was in 99. Who did it? And then I don't know how that works.
I think it could be. I think it could be Alice.
Unless she's popping up all over the place, right? If she's not only popping up in 99, maybe at some point she pops up closer to the present day, and she's like, gotta send that letter. Gotta get us to Canada.
Because she had already, this is like the Harry Potter version of time travel. Like you already knew that you did it.
Yeah, so you got to do it.
So that it has to be something that you do when you get to the present.
Yeah, time turner situation. Classic time turner situation.
So it could be Alice. I think Alice is a good contender for that. I also would put past Andie MacDowell in the ring for that.
Ooh.
So
okay.
It could be that Alice from the present talks to past. Oh, but that would create a real paradoxical time travel situation. But she could talk to past Andie MacDowell and give her the deets on what's going to happen in the future, and past Andie MacDowell could write the letter to her future daughter situation. I don't know. That was another thing. So it could still be the mom's, because she said in the episode that's in your handwriting. She recognized it as the mother's handwriting.
And when she was arguing, or she's talking to somebody, she said like the implication I think was that like she had like written this letter and then like put it away and was like, I'm never gonna send it, and then somebody had sent it. So like maybe past somebody goes through her things and was like, here you go.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think you have to
The
reveal
letter is
by
a
the end of
mystery.
yeah, I think by the end of the season they need to answer that question.
Yeah, that one I think is going to be a little bit harder than some of the other mysteries, because it's just like, yeah, how was it in her handwriting? How would they have sent it at that time? Because the time was like so close to the present. I don't know. It's not like
Yeah.
you can like schedule it to go out. It's not a Facebook post.
or like an email that you draft
Yeah,
the night
exactly,
before to
like,
have go out in the next
All
morning.
right, 9 a.m. and then you go to bed. 3 a.m. in the morning, you're like, I can't send it now. I'm gonna look crazy.
Not that any of us do that. Not that
No, we've
either of us have
never
had
done
experience,
that. No.
where we had to draft an email at midnight. That's never been a thing. Yeah. So I do think that there is a good juicy mystery with the letter, because we did get some information about that the present day Andy McDowell said she did not write it, but that it was in her handwriting. So there is that. I have a lot of questions about this pilot. I guess we could go.
I gotta have them answered. I think this is like the big question we sometimes ask it at the end of pilot pods on the Legends podcast. Like, are you gonna keep watching?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I think I will. I think there's enough. There's enough questions for me about the time traveling pond that I want answered. So I think I'm gonna keep watching.
I feel like I gotta know the answer about the time traveling pond. Like, I just gotta know what its deal is.
How does
what its
it work?
motivations are?
Yeah.
How does it work?
Why does the pond care about this girl going back to see her teenage mother?
I don't know.
Why does the pond could be doing other things?
Listen, the pond is bored, and it's like the pond's like, listen, I don't want to be this person, but I love drama. That's why the pond always chooses to like spit her out at like her teenage mother. She's like, oh God, this is dramatic. And the pond's like, yes, it is.
The pond's over there eating popcorn.
She's like, where'd that giant popcorn bucket come from? The pond's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so I have a lot of questions about the pond, the time traveling pond, and the implications of that for the family and for the rest of the series. So I'm actually curious how they do stretch this out, because I guess in theory you could reinvent things every season where you explore a different thing about the family, whether it's the witchy part of the family. So
maybe season 2 is like, she's like, okay, I fixed my current day family, but I heard that great Aunt Sarah got killed by some pitchfork wielding villagers, so I'm just gonna go fix that now too. And she's like, pond, take me to the drama. And the pond's like, yeah. The pond is like the Andy Cohen from like the Housewives reunions. Pond's like, sure, don't mind if I do. Every season she goes to a different generation of her family, creates chaos, and then fixes it.
Yeah, and then maybe at some point in the future, maybe like towards the end of the series, teenage Alice goes to the future and meets her daughter.
Oh my God. And her daughter is like, I'm so mad at my mom. And like teenage Alice pops out and she's like, your mom worked hard for you. Like, oh my God, excuse me. That actually kind of reminds me, I guess I'm cueing into the fact that like in the last couple of years, all I've watched are like time travel shows with teen girls. But there's a show on Amazon Prime called Paper Girls. It's actually based on a comic book by, I think, Brian K. Vaughan. And the premise of it is basically that they're paper girls in the 80s, and then they go to the future. And they kind of like do a lot of time traveling, and they meet a bunch of their future selves. Bunsen loves this show. Bunsen was a big fan. He watched it with us. He said, "Oh, we talking about Paper Girls? Like, don't mind if I do."
Do you think Bunsen would jump in the time traveling pond?
Oh, Bunsen would would not jump in the time traveling pond. Bunsen's pretty cautious. That would be a Beaker thing. He would probably he would then have to jump in after Beaker. He'd be like, oh no, and maybe try to rescue him. But I don't think Bunsen on his own. Hi, buddy. Yes, it's very nice. I don't think Bunsen on his own would jump into the pond. I think Bunsen has a little bit more.
Yeah, cats notoriously not big fans of water.
No, not big fans of water. Although he does like to sit in the sink sometimes. So who knows, really? Who knows?
That's so funny. So I guess, Morgan, would you continue watching the show?
Yeah, I think especially knowing that it's like 10 episodes, I think Bunsen, do you want to weigh in here, buddy? And it seems like you have a lot of opinions about the ring light and its placement.
He's back again on the ring light.
He's just knocking over the ring light, rubbing his head aggressively into the ring light. He's like, I've got to find my light. You don't understand. He's like, you don't know what it's like to be this beautiful. Yeah, no, I'd watch. I think 10 episodes is really doable, and I want to know what happens with the pond. So, you know, I'm in it for the pond as much as I am for Chyler Leigh now. I'm very invested.
Yeah, I think it did a pretty good job of setting up the series and where it could go.
Did you take my Lego?
Oh, no.
You take that out of your mouth, young man. I have like a little Lego.
Oh, no.
A little Lego, Morgan. No, buddy. It's getting bad here.
Okay. I guess we could, if you need to.
No. We can... No. All right, buddy. I liked it when you came to visit, but you got to go down now. Say bye to your adoring public. Oh my God, he really is. He's feeling very emotional. He really needed that. Okay, we're back.
We haven't done any podcasting in about a month in the lab cats.
Yeah,
we're
he
just
was like,
starving for
my audience. My God. I know, buddy. It's hard when nobody tells you how nice you look, but I'm afraid that you've gotten addicted to the fame and the fortune.
I'm so surprised it's Bunsen and not Beaker.
It's always Beaker. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's gotten into him today.
Interesting. Well,
oh boy. Let it go. Sometimes he likes the wires. He likes to play with them.
Cats do like wires.
We just have to move them out of the way. I think he's done now. Yeah. Okay. He seems done. Sorry about that. That was Bunsen's Corner.
So I think we both enjoyed The Way Home. Lots of questions. So we'll probably keep watching it. I don't know that we'll do any more podcast episodes about it. But
I don't know. The finale might be crazy.
If we feel the need to revisit it, just because we have a lot of burning questions.
Yes.
We'll maybe consider it, but it's fun to see these Supergirl actors in other things and seeing them continuing on their acting career path. So it's good to see that they are continuing to do good work and find new ways to tell stories. So that is very exciting. All right. Well, I guess, Morgan, should we get into some listener feedback?
Sure. We have an email from Donna who writes, I wanted to write and share how much I love the new Hallmark series, The Way Home. Obviously, anyone who knows me knows what a major Chyler Leigh fan I am, and I am genuinely pleased to see her return to my TV screen, creating another complex character, Cat Landry. The entire show is unlike anything I've ever seen on Hallmark before. It combines the traditional Hallmark family drama with a touch of mystery, intrigue, and a strong element of magic. I say magic rather than traditional sci-fi time travel. Chyler, as the soon-to-be divorced and newly unemployed Cat Landry, desperate to connect with her daughter and haunted by a family secret. Cat's definitely a strong woman. She's just being overwhelmed by so much life and issues coming at her at once. We've seen Chyler play a police officer, a doctor, and even a superhero, but this is the first time we've seen her, aside from a brief stint as an adoptive mom on Supergirl, play the mother to a teenage girl, and she nails it. Chyler has struck gold in her choice of material. Lightning strikes again with her phenomenal co-stars. Chyler has amazing chemistry with her co-stars, but truly excels when she acts opposite someone that lets her display what a powerful actress she is. Casting Andie MacDowell as her mother, Dell, was inspired. The crackling energy and dynamic scenes between the two as estranged mother and daughter easily reminded me of scenes between Chyler and Melissa Benoist. Anytime these two are together on screen, the scene will be something special. The series is also going to make a star of young Sadie LaFlamme Snow, who plays her daughter Alice. This may be one of her first parts in a major series, but the young actress more than holds her own with pros like Chyler and Andie. The Landry women make a formidable team. I would be remiss if I did not mention Alex Hook, who plays a teenage version of Chyler's character Kat. Like Supergirl did with Olivia Nikinen, The Way Home.
Yeah, I think it was Nikinen.
Okay. The Way Home picked the perfect younger version of her character with this talented young actress who easily captures Chyler's speech patterns and mannerisms. I feel like we did not actually talk about the young actress who played like young Chyler Leigh, but like she was really good. It did really remind me of the actresses that they got to play young Melissa and young Chyler in Supergirl, because she really did get that like way that Chyler Leigh speaks.
Yeah, and one of my favorite scenes in the pilot episode is with that young Kat and the younger brother Jacob when they're in the bedroom under the stars, and they sort of fall in the bed together and are laughing, and it was a sweet little moment between those siblings. So that young Kat really did a good job, even without having to say anything, did a really good job of portraying that character.
And Donna goes on to say, add into the mix Evan Williams as Landry's neighbor and Kat's ex-BFF, who also shares some strong chemistry with Chyler, and the entire cast shines. Going on the journey of The Way Home is going to be fun, exciting, intriguing, and already heartbreaking and heartwarming. For her first series since Supergirl, Chyler Leigh has chosen well, and the series looks like a winner for Hallmark to me. Kudos to them for choosing an out-of-the-box family drama created by a talented mother-daughter team. Oh, that's cool. Heather Conkey and Alexa Clark and Marley Reed. Definitely worth watching.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about Elliot that much, but I just have one more question. So it sort of seemed like Elliot and Kat were maybe gonna like rekindle a relationship that could turn romantic. What if something happens in the past where Kat doesn't go to the camp to meet the husband, and she ends up falling in love with the neighbor, with Elliot instead, and he becomes Alice's father somehow.
I was thinking about this too, because it was like a Back to the Future situation where, like, if you derail your parents from, getting together, you don't exist.
What happens to your existence?
Can Kat accidentally undo her entire existence?
I think we should find out.
We have to find out. We got to know about that crazy pond.
Yeah, so I think there are a lot of questions that open up out of all that. Well,
speaking of questions,
so we do have some snap judgments that we will make about The Way Home. They're Way Home centric snap judgments. So let's get to snapping. In the game of snap judgments, each person is presented with two options, but must only choose one. First instincts are recommended and explanations are unnecessary.
Okay, first snap judgment. Would you rather be a news reporter in Minnesota or a book author in Canada?
I think if I had to pick, I would say book author in Canada. It seemed like a nice place. I mean, they have a time traveling pond out back that you never know when you're going to go to.
Out.
But I think if I had to, that farm looked really nice. It would be a really peaceful place to write a book. So I think that's what I'd pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna go author in Canada too. It seems nice up there. It seems chill. It seems like the perfect place to write a book. Like, it's where I imagine, like, you go to write. So, you're in like kind of like on a farm in the woods. You can write right by the magical pond that takes you to 1999. I think it's a great location. As long as you don't fall in the pond, I think you're great.
Yeah, good inspiration to be around.
All right. Would you rather time travel by falling into a lake or piloting the Legion cruiser?
I mean, I think I would pick Legion cruiser, because then you can pick where you time travel to or when you time travel to, and you don't have to get wet.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is kind of a no-brainer. The Legion cruiser is so much nicer. It's like you're getting there in luxury. If you use the pond, first off, that thing takes you where it wants you to go. And we know that pond loves drama. We know that pond loves mess. It's gonna drop you off somewhere bad. But the Legion cruiser, I can choose where I'm gonna go.
Right.
So like I don't need to like accidentally stop my parents from meeting because the pond was bored that
day. the Legion cruiser is a little more luxurious. Plus, you don't have to almost drown.
Yeah, that's going to be a bonus for sure.
Yeah. I would not want to have to drown every time I time traveled.
No.
That seems grim. So yeah, definitely not doing that.
Yeah, I'd probably time travel a lot less if I had to almost drown every single time. We know I love time traveling. If you move to a new town, would you want to know about the local legend of the White Witch, or would you rather be kept in the dark about it?
I guess we've already talked about this. But
I think this is an important question.
But I want to be an informed citizen. I want to know, like, it's almost like if you bought a house where somebody had died and there was like a ghost.
Yeah.
You would want to know that as the purchaser of the house. So I think
for sure.
I would want to know about all the weird things in the place where I was moving.
I'm going to start asking people just like when they invite me to like come visit them someplace. I'm going to be like, okay, but like, what's your cryptid situation? Like,
what's your local mysterious legend?
Has Bigfoot ever visited you? Like, what's going on in your woods? What's happening in your nearby woods? The Mothman come by? I want to know if there's a mysterious White Witch stealing children. That feels like a thing I should know about before I show up.
Yeah, I think so.
Just I also want to like immerse myself in the local culture, right?
You want to blend in.
I want to blend in. I want to know all the happening stuff. Take me to this White Witch.
So, yes, I think both of us want to be informed citizens of the local culture wherever we move. No judgments on your snap judgments. Well, thank you, Morgan, for taking me through time in our discussion about the Way Home pilot and having a pilot pod here on Supergirl Radio. Now we need to get to some Supergirl Radio and some DC TV podcast plugs. If you would like to contact Supergirl Radio, you can post a comment on our website at supergirlradio.com. You can email us at supergirlradio@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 678-718-7252. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all at Supergirl Radio. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Podchaser, and Spotify, where we also have a Spotify playlist that includes music featured on and inspired by the CW's Supergirl TV series. We are listed on DC's fan page, which you can find at dccomics.com/DC-fans. If you like what we do, we encourage you to give us a rating and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy our Supergirl Radio live streams, make sure to subscribe to the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live and wired. DC TV Podcast also has a TeePublic store, so if you're in need of new DC TV related t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, onesies, mugs, notebooks, pillows, or stickers, go to supergirlradio.com and click on the TeePublic store link at the top of the page.
Now see here, Supergirl Radio is part of the DC TV Podcast Network, so if you want to listen to other shows, we've got The Flash Podcast, Legends of Tomorrow Podcast, The Lituation Room, DC on HBO Max Podcast, Stargirl Podcast, Superman and Lois Radio, Green Lantern Podcast, The Sandman Podcast, DC TV After Dark, and Justice League Dark Podcast.
And Morgan, do you want to tell us about the DC TV Podcast TeePublic store?
Cannot wait, honestly. Because since we talked about Chyler Leigh's new show this week, we have some Alex Danvers designs in the DC TV Podcast TeePublic store that we would love to suggest to you.
Yeah, we don't have any time traveling pawn designs.
No, we need to get that merch in the store ASAP.
I think that would be some good bestsellers.
if somebody's listening to this and they want to make like a design of like a pond eating popcorn, like, yeah, that would be amazing. I would buy that shirt for sure.
Yeah, so we don't have any the Way Home merch, but we do have some Chyler Leigh merch in the T Public store of her as Alex Danvers. So you can definitely check that out, and we would recommend it. Also, we would like to thank our legion of super sponsors for supporting Supergirl Radio on our Patreon. These people are Michael, Anne-Marie, Yvonne, Nicola, Leslie, Abby, Miriam, Nicole, Brian, Ethan, Danny, Tara, and Majuba. So thank you for supporting Supergirl Radio through the Patreon. We have 4 monthly levels that you can choose from. We may be tweaking these a little bit in the upcoming year, so stay tuned for that, because we want to give you the most bang for your buck when you support Supergirl Radio. So we're going to figure out better ways to do that. So you can do that at patreon.com/Supergirl Radio if you want to go check that out and help support the podcast. Well, if you want to follow me personally, you can do that several ways. You can find me on the social media platform Vero. I'm at Derby Kid over there. I kind of share what I'm listening to, the Amy Adams projects that I'm watching, the various Amy Adams TV shows and movies. I have yet to watch Nocturnal Animals.
Ooh.
And I feel like there's something else that I'm missing, but that's one of the big ones that I have not watched yet. So that'll be the next Amy Adams project that I watch. And I also posted about how I started reading a book, which is rare for me, about Gavin MacLeod's life. So I don't know if you know, but Gavin MacLeod played Captain Steubing on the Love Boat. So he actually was in a ton of things and knew a lot of famous people. He tells a really funny story about having Betty Davis come over to his house for dinner one time. Spoiler alert, she was not real pleasant. So there's some fun stories in that Gavin MacLeod autobiography. So I've been reading that. So you would know that if you followed me on Vero. You can also follow me on Instagram at the Derby Kid. So I post the occasional picture over there. Picture and reels, trying to do some video stuff over there too. And then you can check me out on youtube.com/duckmilkprod. I do live streams Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, going over the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice negative reviews from the top critics of Rotten Tomatoes. Those are sometimes very interesting. The one from Entertainment Weekly actually had the greatest line that I've read in a film review of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. And he was trying to be negative about it, but he also said that the Wayne murders, that Snyder gave it the haunting visual power of a primal myth. And I was like, oh,
fancy.
That is really good. So I wish I had written that about or said that about Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. So every now and then there's some real gems in those reviews. But if you want to talk about art criticism and film criticism and ask the question, what is art? You can come hang out with me on my YouTube channel on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Mojotastic. And you can also find me as a co-host on the Legends of Tomorrow podcast, where we just did a podcast about what all of the recent DC changes mean for the Arrowverse. And not very good.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and we are planning some fun stuff for the upcoming season. I think we're gonna watch the Teen Wolf movie, which is gonna be fun because
wait, which one? Aren't there several?
No, we're gonna watch the new Teen Wolf movie.
Okay, so not like Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, not that one.
Okay.
A classic of the form, but the new one that was sort of spun off of the Teen Wolf TV show. So Kat's watched the whole show. I've watched most of the show, and Amy hasn't watched any of the show. So we're coming at it from like 3 different perspectives, which will be fun. I think we're also going to be talking about Megan with the 3 in the middle of it. So that was one of the most fun theater experiences I've had in a while. My theater went crazy. So that'll be a fun podcast episode. And then you can also actually check me out on Gay Gals Watch, where my husband Mike and I stopped by to talk about all things trashy TV. So we talked about season 3 of Love is Blind. We had a lot of opinions, a lot of hot topics. What couples couples were good, what couples were bad. And then we sort of rounded it off by talking about the weird challenges on the Great British Bake Off this season, and how apparently no one in the UK knows anything about Mexican food. Who knew? We discovered that by the Mexican Week challenge, in which somebody was peeling an avocado like you would a potato.
Oh, okay.
Which is wrong.
Okay.
you should not
do that.
Avocado that way. So we had a lot of fun on that. So if you want to listen to us talk about questionable quality television and the Great British Bake Off, which is I'm on record as saying is amazing. We watched it. William Day did.
We talked about the Great British Bake Off quite a bit on Supergirl Radio.
Quite a bit. That was William's fault. But you can check us out on the latest episode of Gay Gals Watch. I think it just came out today, actually. So.
I'm definitely gonna have to listen because I haven't caught up on Love Is Blind. So I need this as inspiration to get back into Love Is Blind.
Season 3 was messy.
Do you think I can just skip to season 3, or do I need the backstory of season 2?
I mean, season 2 is pretty good, but you could probably just jump right to season 3.
Okay.
I mean, they don't really build on each other. In fact, apparently season 2 and season 3 were like filming at the exact same time.
So they weren't like innovating.
No, they weren't like
differently than season 2.
I would say that if what you really liked about like an early season of Love Is Blind is all the non-functional couples that should almost definitely not be together, season 3 is going to give you like a beautiful bouquet of that.
Yes, I will be eating
a lot.
popcorn.
Oh, it's going to be good. You like call the pond, invite it over.
Yeah, so that sounds really good. And also I have questions about the Teen Wolf thing. I can't remember. Is Amy's team werewolf, right?
Yes, I believe. Yes, Amy's team werewolf. Kat and I are team mermaid, obviously.
So is there going to be a like werewolf discussion?
We should definitely. Yeah. Well, especially since Amy's never seen any of the Teen Wolf TV show. It'll be interesting to see what she thinks of this take on the.
Do you think it will cause her to abandon Team Werewolf?
I don't know. I don't think so. Although I have to say, I guess there is kind of an Arrowverse tie-in.
Tyler Hoechlin.
Because Tyler Hoechlin, that's where I knew him from originally, is Teen Wolf, where he played a very sad wolf man who just. Really down on his luck, could never really catch a break, didn't smile a lot, did take off his shirt a whole bunch. Just a great guy. Poor Derek. So excited to see him come back for the.
So he's going to be in the movie.
I believe so.
Okay.
I'll be disappointed if I said he was going to be in the movie and then he wasn't.
I feel like maybe I heard that somewhere. It seems right.
We would have. I think everybody came back except Dylan O'Brien. I don't think he came back for the movie. He's like, no Teen Wolf for me. But Tyler Hoechlin was like, listen, I gotta do my boy Derek proud. And I could also, maybe I'm gonna look this up afterwards, and it's gonna be like, he's not gonna be in the movie.
Well, that should be interesting. I'm excited to hear about your werewolf thoughts on the Legendary Ladies roundtable discussion of that. Well, I guess that's going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio and our pilot pod episode of The Way Home. But until next time, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
And I'm still Morgan Glennon. And we look forward to seeing more of Kat Landry's story.
McGurk! I love typing.
Not mess with my Google Docs, Meeksy.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Kira.
I llove that.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom. Because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No. Helen Slater here. So fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Yeah!